Because what will happen, and I'm sure you'll get this as well, like if you had all these advertisements of all this like bright shiny things and the showroom floor to come into the mechanic, like to come get your car to be worked on and everything like that, and then you're wearing the suit and all those kind of things, and they come in and you got grease on your face, there's tools everywhere, they're like, is this the right place? And they all of a sudden like don't want to do business with you because what they thought that they were buying wasn't what they were buying.
Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner.
What's going on, guys? I'm super excited to bring this topic to you today. I got myself, Jarret, and Mr. Mark Wilson on the other end of this call, and I think we got some bombs we're going to drop today.
Oh, bro, I need to set up that thing where I'm just setting off bombs every time we have a good time. I have one, but I just haven't set it up yet. I really need to do that. It just gave me another reminder. What we're going to be talking about today, guys, is how so many people end up selling and not storytelling, and it's just such a disservice, not just like in a personal life, but in business. And you can totally tell the difference between the brands that have the storytelling and not pushing their agendas on people. It feels so unhuman, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest scams, especially, and on the topic of scams, like in the online business space, whether it be YouTube, we both dabble in that, or marketing, any of that kind of stuff, there's always people around the defense already. So you have to be ready to deal with that because there's a lot of shitty people out there, and there are people that are trying to rip you off. But normally you can see through it. And I think the biggest lie that is told is that you have to seem genuine. If you're genuine, you just are, you don't have to try to be genuine. So that was my first question for you is how does being genuine affect your business?
Oh man, like honestly, like when I first broke into the online industry about like 5-6 years ago, that was one of those things I was always told to fake it till you make it and just make money, make money, make money. And honestly, at that point in time, it was way easier, like 5-6 years ago, to be successful in the online industry. It just wasn't as saturated. You can still be more successful now than you could be there, just because there's so much more technology and everything like that now. But you actually have to be good at what you do. You can't just like suck and still make money, right? So I think one of those big things is actually caring about people, like actually giving a F about people. And I think so often people just don't care. And like I actually just fired somebody from our company because like I kept telling them, like, you need to care, you need to care, you need to care, you need to care. The only thing they cared about is making those dollar bills yet, And honestly, as soon as I fired that person that only cared about making money, only cared about their dollars in their bank account, our business has tripled in 2.5 months, which is just insane, right?
Yeah, that's insane. And I was just talking to someone else about that as well. And I was like, holy crap. Like we were talking numbers and stuff. And I was like, wow, like that is insane. But, you're ultimately, people are going to see through it. If you're not being genuine, you can smell it, 10 miles away. Perfect example. Like even for me, when I joined and I got into digital freedom movement, I talked to John it was probably close to a year. Like I talk to him all the time. We talk about all sorts of different stuff. And that connection is what got me in, right? It got me involved because if he would have just come out like second day I talked to him, because I remember like right away, I saw a couple ads with you and Kellen on it. And I was like, what is this about? And so I'm like, years returning. And then he started talking to me. I'm like, well, who is this guy? And if he would have just come out, right off the bat, guns ablaze, and been like, here's my offer, I would have never talked to him again.
100%, man. It's not about like pushing your agendas, right? Like it's all of, and there's so much about that type of stuff. And you just think like those people that push agendas in our society right now, like how do you act? So you walk into Walmart. And you're walking into Walmart, you see the kiosk put up in front of the Walmart store. You see the person with the clipboard in their hand, wearing a suit, trying to look all professional and everything like that. Like they're going to help you. And they come up to you and they're like, how's your day going? And you're like, all you want me to do is sign up for some more credit. And like, I don't want this, whatever. So you go the next one and you're like, not interested, not interested, not interested. And it all starts with the ungenuine presentation of it, right?
Absolutely. And it makes me think of, I have an uncle that passed away about 5-6 years ago. And if you've ever seen the show Shark Tank,
yeah,
you've seen Shark Tank. He was one of those guys. Like he could have sat up there, been right in there with them. That's how he thought. That's how he talked. And the guy was, I mean, had millions of dollars, and he'd call me up and be like, "Hey, I'm in town today. You want to go to lunch?" And I'd be like, "Sure." And his favorite place was this little ice cream shack in town. I mean, just, whatever. He's like, "They have the best barbecues. We're going there." And we'd get there, and he's in like beat up jeans and a t-shirt, and the lady's like, "Oh, here's the total." And he'd like mess with people. He'd pull out this wad of cash and be like, "Oh, I don't know if I have enough for that." But my point is, if you saw him on a day-to-day basis, you would have never knew that he had money. He wasn't about throwing it around. And I think so many of the people that are actually out scamming people and trying to fake it till they make it, in a sense, they're, "Oh, look at my new Lamborghini, look at my new suit, look at my yacht, look at," it's, what was that video? Oh, who was it? Ty Lopez. Remember that? With the Lamborghini, and then like 5 people saw the little rental tag inside in my garage.
And it's ridiculous, and like it's okay to have those kind of things, like if that's the way that you live. Like we were just talking about before we jumped on this, like you're just in South Carolina, right on the beach, living life, whatever, in a bungalow, like really, really nice and everything like that. It's okay to photo that stuff. That's your real life. You know what I mean? Like I just, like a year ago, we rented out a mansion for a bunch of the people inside DFM and everything like that. And that was, we were going to a seminar. So we're like, oh, we got to have a bunch of people. So the best way to do that is buy and like rent a big house. So we rented a big house and we did that. But it wasn't like, hey, this is my mansion and all that kind of stuff. It's so disingenuous. But it's just about talking about how you live your life and everything like that. But how you live your life is going to, an ice cream shop and beat up jeans and everything like that. But then you tip like $10. Like you're a good human being. That's genuine actions. You should put that on display. But if it's just like, I rented this Lamborghini for the day so I could take a bunch of photos on it, like, oh, that's gross. And people will see through that because they'll end up like talking to you, and you're walking to your car that day and you're driving around in a Chevy Cavalier. You're like, what happened to your Lamborghini, bro?
Yeah. And that leads me to my next question. And that is, it's kind of a twofer, but the first part is, how do you beat that scam stigma? And if you're putting, let's say you're all into showing people what you have, is it valuable or detrimental to put all your eggs in one basket?
So like the first part of that is like, how do you beat that? I think the biggest thing is figuring out who you are. And I know that sounds like almost like a very redundant question, like, who are you? Like, oh, of course, I'm Jarret. You know what I mean? But I think so many people don't know that. And for me, like breaking into the online industry, like I thought I was like a mechanic. I thought I was like a manager of that shop. I thought I was like my kid's father. And like, that's how I like thought of who I was. And it's like, no, I'm not any of those things. Those things aren't me. Those are just other things that I do and experience, right? Like you aren't who you experience. That's a verb. You are nouns, right? Like those are the things. And so often people try to describe themselves as a verb, not as a noun. And that is really what holds you back. So you just have to figure out who you are and what you represent. And what are you really trying to solve for people? And if you have no clue what you're trying to solve for people, you're always going to seem unauthentic. Because if you don't know why people should purchase stuff from you, and you don't believe they should, then they won't, and you're going to be unsuccessful, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to have I think it goes in two different directions here, but you got to have something that you're interested in, and then figure out how you can combine that with the goal that you have. So if your goal is passive income, building, through an online business, I don't think there's a single person in the world that wakes up and they're like, oh, I can't wait to talk to strangers and sell things on the internet. Like it's deeper than that. It has to go deeper than that. You have to brand yourself in a way that you can bring something that you're passionate about into your pitch and into your whole story about how, you can combine things in your life that you genuinely enjoy, and you can build a passive income off of that.
Oh, massively, man. And that's one of the reasons why we were having some issues internally before we let that guy go that I was telling you earlier, is because that's all it was. It wasn't like, hey, like, let's build your business. Let's figure out what's going to be best for you. It's like, hey, let's make you spend some money. Well, I don't understand this. Well, I'm going to overcomplicate it for you and explain things, because like I'm not giving you value or actually helping you do something. I'm going to tell you about all this stuff that doesn't really matter to you, just so you buy this stuff. And then you're going to be left empty. Like the experience should always be left like you're looking to fulfill the person, right? And I think to like go into your second part, I think it's so important to do those kind of things, because honestly, like nowadays, people care so much more about being authentic than they do about the Lamborghini, because it's being overdone, right? So if you're saying, hey, like I'm just busting into the online industry and I'm growing, I'm building, I'm just doing this seminar and stuff like that. People love that kind of stuff because it shows that you're hustling, and they're like, oh, I want to be around people like that. So the more that you actually dig into that type of stuff, the more people will be able to relate to you, because then they'll be able to see that you're paving a pathway that they're not on, but they would love to be on, but you're authentically doing it, so they can see that you can help them with that, right? And it just all has to be aligned with that message that you're putting out there, right? And so it's so, in my opinion, imperative to actually dig into that and just give value, because the value is all people care about. They don't care that you have the Lamborghini. They just want you to give the value that of how they can get that Lamborghini.
Yeah, and that goes into the next question I have is kind of about clout chasing, right? It seems like everyone does it, and it goes back to being genuine, because like the other part of my online business is a lot of automotive content, right? And I'll go out and watch different creators, even ones I really like, if I'm just relaxing, or I'll go watch ones that I hate and be like, okay, why does this turn me off, and how do I not do that in my content? But there's a couple of them, and I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but you're watching it and you're like, okay, yeah, you have the cool car, you're on the beach house, but I know mommy and daddy are funding it. I know you know nothing about cars, and I know you're just doing this to get the 1,000,000,000 views on your video, and just be able to churn out the next one. And then I go to some guy in his garage that's working on like a mid 90s, whatever it is, and it's like, this guy genuinely, the energy comes off of you, right? And so the next question I had was, if you can see that genuine persona coming off of someone, you just glow differently when you're being genuine. Is there any room for clout chasing? I mean, even if you are successful, is there room for that, or is that going to deteriorate your business?
So I think it goes back to the other thing that I was saying there. If it has to do with the way that you live life, then yes, it does. Like, and I was talking to Renee about this the other day. It's just like, so we went out for dinner. I took him out for dinner because he was doing a really good job and everything like that, and I wanted to congratulate him and everything, right?
Yeah.
So I took him out and everything like that. And he's like, bro, you didn't wear your Rolex. I was like, oh, it's funny. I thought about that afterwards. It's like, I forgot I even had a Rolex. Because it's just not who I am, right? Like, I bought myself as a reward for hard work that I did, and I wanted to reward myself in some type of way. I always wanted a Rolex, so I bought it, right? And then I think if that's who you are, and that it is also part of like the personality you are, you're more of a luxury person. Like, this is like who your brand is. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like the Kardashians, like they live that life. So yeah, like put that on display. Those are the things that matter to them. That's what they focus on and everything like that. So there's nothing wrong with branding yourself like that, but if it has to be authentic to you, and like obviously, like I just bought a six-figure car. Nobody knows I bought this six-figure car because I don't put it on display. It's just not who I am and everything like that. It's just not the message that I'm looking to put out there. But for the people that they buy that car to put it on display because it's part of who they are and what they like all encompass and everything like that, they're like, hey, I bought this like Tesla because it's green and all that kind of stuff, and they're putting it on display because it's part of a message that, yeah, man, all the power to you and everything like that. You just have to like actually like dig into that type of stuff. So it really all comes down, and I know this is a longer answer than you're probably looking for and everything like that, but it all comes down to like who you are, right? Like, if you are the person that rocks the rollies, drives the expensive cars, wears the suits and all that kind of stuff and everything like that, then that's great. Like, I'm sitting here in a hoodie, you're in a hoodie. That's just not who we are. But I do like to get dressed up. So I actually have a rule in my rules that I live by, is I get dressed up once a week because it makes me feel good. But I'm not doing that for anybody else other than myself. So it is part of my mission that I wear like either a suit or dress pants and, look good once a week just so I feel good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that we talk a lot about avatar building, within DFM, and some of you are going to have no idea what that means, but it's building your ideal person that you want to deal with. I could say client, but it goes deeper than that, because 100%. You build, especially when you're trying to help people, it's not like, oh, buy my service, or, come invest in this and then goodbye. But the only way to get that ideal person that you want to work with is to be honest with yourself, like same thing. I have a suit coat and it depends, if I'm hopping on an important meeting, like if I have a parts deal coming up or something, I might go throw that on and sit, in my desk chair, my big red office chair that looks like something out of the Jetsons. But it's not me 100% of the time. So if I'm putting that out there, I'm also going to attract people that aren't the ideal person that I want to attract.
100%, man. 100%. That's huge. And you look good in a suit too, bro. I've seen the pics, man. You look stunning.
Too many weddings recently.
Funny, man. I love it. I love it. That's too funny. But it all comes down to exactly that. It's like, who do you want to attract and how do you want to be seen? And I heard this quote just recently, like, you aren't who you think you are. You aren't who you think other people think you are. You are who other people think you are. And I know that's like one of those crazy, like super meta type of things. How will you know what other people? Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
How will you know like what other people think you're saying? I was saying this to Renee the other day, and I was just like, well, just go ask on one of your trainings. Just go ask people what who they think you are, like, and then you'll know, right? And that's the only way. Like, put out a survey or something like that, right? As impersonal that is, but that's how you get to know of actually who you are, because we are all delusional as human beings of what we do, how we do it. Like, I'm sure you get in those fights too, where you're just like, oh, I didn't talk to you meanly or with your girl and everything like that. And they're like, no, you're a big dick. And they're like,
yep.
Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. In my head, I wasn't that way, because we're delusional. We're gonna compartmentalize everything that like our poop doesn't stink.
Yep. And I got one. That was all my questions that I had for you. But perfect example of that is my parents live in the same town as my girlfriend, and I live about 20-30 minutes away. And I stopped in town and I was working. And so I took a shower at my folks' place. We were going to go out to eat. And I put on some khakis and this hoodie. And my mom's like, aren't you going to wear something a little nicer? And I was like, no. And I'm like, and she kind of laughed. She goes, well, that's you. And I said, it is. If she don't decide she don't like it anymore, too bad, like.
I love it, man. But that's exactly it, man. Like, you shouldn't, especially with your loved ones, you shouldn't have to be authentic to you, because, and this is what so many people do when they first meet somebody. And I know this is getting way off business, but it does correlate with it. But like what people do is they put on their best selves, which isn't their real selves or anything like that. The one that they think that everybody wants to see when they first dating somebody, and then after a month to 3 months, the love fails, because you no longer are that person that they thought they fell in love with and everything like that. So it's so funny how we almost are frauds all the time, but we just don't want to call ourselves frauds because of that type of stuff. And that's why it's so important to have like really, really good tonality. And I like to use the word tonality, because I think that word really epitomes like being like normalized throughout everything, right? How you talk to people, how you message them, how you take your pictures, all of those things should have the same tonality. Because what will happen, and I'm sure you'll get this as well, like if you had all these advertisements of all this like bright shiny things and the showroom floor to come into the mechanic, like to come get your car to be worked on and everything like that, and then you're wearing the suit and all those kind of things, and they come in and you got grease on your face, there's tools everywhere, they're like, is this the right place? And they all of a sudden like don't want to do business with you, because what they thought that they were buying wasn't what they were buying, right? And the same thing goes with like business. Is what people will do is they'll start with like, this is how they go and everything like that, we're best friends and all this kind of stuff, and all of a sudden they'll turn left and they'll be like, now you got to buy my stuff, and they're like, whoa, what just happened here? And then you just totally turn people off because your tonality just changed. So you have to have that exact same tonality through everything that you do, or people's minds will be like, wow, that came out of left field.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think this is great. And I think, it all comes down to being genuine. If you want to be successful, and, we're focusing on online business, but really anything you want to do in life, if you're not genuine and you're not honest with yourself, you're going to fail. And it takes more work to hold up a false persona than it does just to be yourself. Maybe you'll get some success, some flash success, I like to call it, right away, if you're not being genuine, but then you have no business being here trying to hold up this persona, right? So you're going to be trying to build it and push it up, and it keeps sliding back down the hill. You might as well just start here, be yourself and build with people who genuinely want to see it.
1000%. Start at level 1 because you're at level 1, man. And people can relate to level 1. You're not trying to attract level 100 customers and everything like that, where you're charging them for level 100 prices and everything. Like we were talking about your buddy that charges $2,500 for detailing. Like you're not looking to attract those people. So you shouldn't be acting like those people because you're going to unattract the people that you actually would have in the first place.
I think I just got next week's topic just out of this. I'm going to write that down.
Love it, man. I think this was fire, bro. Like this was super fire. I hope you guys all thought this was fire too. Let us know what the best thing that you guys took out of this. That's what I want to hear in the comment section. But I think this was fire, Jarret. This is our first ever rap session one-on-one, guys. Like that was pretty good, I believe.
Slim Shady, I think that's, yeah, I can see it. Well, you guys, I'm really glad and super pumped that all you guys came to tune in today. Once again, my name is Jarret. That is Mark Wilson. We'll be back at you next week with another topic, and we really hope that you tune in.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.